Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me for another Reading Journal wrap-up video. In the blink of an eye, August is done. But you know what that means, right? Spooky season is just around the corner. I'm so excited for fall and Halloween and cozy reads. But first, we need to find out what I read and watched this past month. Let's start things off by flipping to my reading goals page. This month, I get to check off not one, but 2 goals. First, I can check off read 5 ebooks. And for my second goal, I can check off read 5 books from the books to read list. How great is that? For now, I'm not going to add any extra stretch goals, as I'm pretty happy with my current goal set and how things are progressing. Next up is the books to read page. And here I'm going to add a little box and check off The Black Tongue Thief. And with that, I've officially read 5 books off my list. Awesome! Even though it's later in the year to be doing this, I'm going to add a few more titles that have piqued my interest to my list. These include the following: The Song of Achilles, The Housemaid, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, The Manor House, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, Ninth House, The Family Upstairs, and finally, Animal Farm. Flipping the page, we're going to skip my recommended read spread, as I didn't read either of the remaining 2 books on the list, and instead go straight into filling out my 2025 visual bookshelf. This month's reads include the following titles: The Handyman Method, Aragon, A Curse Carved in Bone, The Black Tongue Thief, We Used to Live Here, The God of the Woods, At First Spite, and Two Can Play. I had a really incredible reading month in August, with nearly all of my books coming in with very high scores. Of course, like anything, there were a couple of stumbles along the way. They can't all be great. But overall, I'm very pleased with the books that I chose to read this month, especially since most of them were mood reads that ended up being really, really excellent. August definitely had a theme. Fantasies, cutesy romances, and spine-tingling horror dominated the genres, the latter showcasing my increasing excitement about this upcoming time of year. When spooky season starts, I'm all about the scary stories, thrills, and chills that I can find in great books, TV shows, and movies. This month was an excellent kickstart to that fun fall feeling. Let's turn the page to my series tracker spread and fill in some info. I finished the second and final book in the Saga of the Unfated series, so I'm going to gray that dot in. Next, I'm going to add the Blacktongue series, as well as the Harlot's Bay series, and gray in the first dot of each. I've managed to finish 5 separate series so far this year. How incredible is that? Up next, let's flip over to the 2025 book log and fill it out with all of the books I mentioned previously, with the date read and their ratings. Up first is The Handyman Method by Nick Cutter. This horror novel started the month off with a deliciously creepy vibe. A couple with a young child moves into a newly made house, but right off the bat, things start to go wrong. The house starts to sink. Mysterious cracks begin to show up, and both the husband and son begin to converse with made-up characters from YouTube videos and radio shows that they watch or listen to. If you enjoy chilling haunted house stories with twists and turns you didn't see coming, this one is for you. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Eragon by Christopher Paolini. I read this book many years ago when it first came out, and I remembered not really loving it, but I wanted to give it another chance, just because. I hate to say it, but my opinion hasn't changed. Although this book had all the trappings of a great and epic fantasy novel, magic, dragons, mysterious shadowy bad guys, and enchanting mystical elves, I found it incredibly long, drawn out, and boring. I really slogged through this book, and by the end I was happy to be done and rid of it. I rated it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Up next was A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the second and final book in the Saga of the Unfated duology, and I was really looking forward to reading this after I had read A Fate Inked in Blood earlier this year. This Vikings-inspired novel follows the continued travels and adventures of Freya and Bjorn, 2 magically gifted frenemies, as they fight to weave new fates for themselves and their homeland. Freya's magic is highly sought after by kings to use for war, but her only wish is to break the prophecy stating that she will kill thousands. Will she break her curse? I gave this 4 out of 5 star rating. The next book I read was The Blacktongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. Buehlman is another author I've recently come to love, and his horror novels are some of the best I've ever read. The Blacktongue Thief is his foray into the world of fantasy, and just like his other books, it was an absolute delight to read. It was dark, gritty, and surprisingly comedic, a swashbuckling tale of love, loss, and adventure in a war-torn land overrun by goblins, where most of the strongest fighters are women, since the vast majority of men died fighting in the earlier Goblin Wars. I really love this book, and I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The 5th book for the month was We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. This book honestly blew me away, and I felt like I was on the edge of my seat for the entire time that I was reading it. This is another horror novel about a young couple who move into a house in the remote wilderness with the intention of flipping it for profit. But then, one night shortly after moving in, a family shows up at their doorstep, claiming that this house used to be their family home and asking to tour the place. Only, they won't leave once they're inside, and then terrible things start to happen. I gave this a full 5 out of 5 rating. Next up, I read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This was another novel that honestly knocked my socks off. This book is a mystery thriller that spins and weaves a story of several narrators over many years to unravel the mystery of Barbara Van Laar, a young girl who goes missing while at summer camp in the late 1960s. But this story just isn't about Barbara, because her younger brother, Bear, also went missing at this same summer camp more than a decade prior, and he was never found. This book had so many twists and turns and had me guessing right up until the end. I rated this a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Up next, I read a fluffy, cute romance called At First Spite by Olivia Dade. I picked this book up on a whim at a little free library recently, and I'm so glad that I did. This novel tells the story of Athena, a woman who has been jilted by her fiancé just a mere month before their wedding, and who now is left to pick up the pieces by moving into her new home, a 10-foot wide spite house that she bought as a wedding gift for her now ex-fiancé, that just happens to be sandwiched between his home and the home of his brother, who she begins to fall for. I really enjoyed this book, and it was a welcome palate cleanser between all the other darker and more intense fantasy and horror reads I've had throughout the month. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Lastly, I read Two Can Play, a novella by Ali Hazelwood. This story centers on two rival game devs who are both looking to score a coveted project for their respective studios while on a skiing retreat. I thought I'd really like this story, seeing as I work in animation and have also worked at gaming studios in my career, but this felt really flat. It just didn't feel like the game dev background was super researched or executed well, and it really pulled me out of the story. This is the third Ali Hazelwood book that I've read this year, and I'm not sure if Bride was just an anomaly, but I haven't really enjoyed the last 2 books of hers. I rated this a 2 out of 5. Let's flip the page over to my visual tracker and add all the books I just logged for the month. It's a good thing I added in this additional Dutch door panel in last month's video, as I'm certain now that I would have run out of room to add these covers at the rate that I'm currently going. And even though this extra door doesn't quite match up, I think it still looks really nice. I'm really glad I decided to add it in. Let's flip the page again and pick out our book of the month for August. I had so many great books to choose from this month, but it ultimately came down to We Used to Live Here, The God of the Woods, and At First Spite. I had to really think long and hard about this choice because all 3 of these books were great for very different reasons. But in the end, I chose The God of the Woods just because it's the one I keep thinking about the most. Next, let's update the yearly stats spread and add in all of this month's information. In books read per month, I'll fill it in with 8 books read. For reading types, I read 1 physical book, 1 ebook, and 6 audiobooks. In books by the page, I read 2 books in the 1 to 200 plus pages column, 2 in the 300s, 3 in the 400s, and lastly, 1 in the 500s. For genres read this month, I'll add 2 in fantasy, 2 in horror, 1 in mystery thriller, 2 in romance, and lastly, 1 in romantasy. And finally, for When Was It Written? A weird thing happened. Almost all of the books I read this month were newer releases, with only 1 book in the 2000s column and a staggering 7 in the 2020s column. Moving on, Let's flip over to our monthly overview for August and add in all the details and info for the month. I'll add 8 in total books read and a whopping 2,904 in total pages read. I think that might be the new record for the year. Up next is the best and worst reads of the month. For the best of the month, we'll add in The God of the Woods. And for the worst, I'm adding in Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. Eragon came in a very close second for this spot. Next, like always, I'll add in all the books to the monthly book log with the date I finished the book, its page count, and its rating. Luckily, I have just enough space for all of these titles. I'm definitely going to have to make this area bigger in next year's journal. Lastly, I'll dot in my mini calendar up in the corner with the date I finished each book and the color that corresponds to its genre. Although I didn't watch any new TV shows this month, I did manage to find the time to watch a movie, so let's flip to the movies watch spread and add in the title. On August 23rd, I watched The Woman of the Hour, but this was a special watch because it also needs to be added to the Besties Binge Watch page, since I tandem watched it with my friend. This was a really great movie with lots of tense scenes, and Anna Kendrick killed it in her directorial debut. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Let's turn the page one last time and add to some spreads that we don't see too often: Music to My Ears and 2025 Games. In my mini music spread, I'm going to add my favorite new song that I've had on repeat since I first heard it, Drum Show by 21 Pilots. This is their newest single off of their upcoming album, and if the rest of the album sounds as good as these first 2 singles, I'm going to be very, very happy. Next on the mini game spread, I'm going to add in Tales of the Shire. This is our favorite new game, and in it, you play as a hobbit who's just moved to the Shire and must learn to become a part of the community by tending your garden, cooking delicious food, and making lots of friends. It's the perfect cozy game for Lord of the Rings fans, and it's an absolute joy to play. Lastly, over on the Check This Out page, I'm going to make a little box and check off Woman of the Hour. I wonder what I'll pick next to watch. And with that, my reading journal recap for August is complete. I can't believe August breezed by as fast as it did, but I'm definitely looking forward to cooler weather and all the fun, spooky stuff the next couple of months bring. What about you? Which season is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for taking the time to join me and for watching my videos. If you want to continue to see more content from me, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel, or just leaving a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Happy reading, and see you in the next video. Bye!